I'm Brittany, and I am doing the birth story tag. I was tagged by Mommy Brain, and I thought this would be a great, real, actual tag. First time doing one. I'm still awkward in front of the camera, but this should open me up. Number 1 is, what was your due date? My due date was November 22nd. And number 2 is, what date did you actually give birth? I actually ended up giving birth November 24th through induction. And the days leading up to your birth, what did you do to prepare? I actually just read some Kindle books and ended up researching a lot online and stuff of that. I didn't do any classes because I always blew them off. I probably should have prepared me a little more. Did you experience any signs that you were going into labor? I was, for about the last month, having contractions. They were small, a little stronger than Braxton Hicks, but they were getting there. Number 5 is, rate your birth nervousness from 1 to 10. Mine was a 5 because first I went in as a non-stress test, so I didn't really think anything of it. I was just seeing everything, and it kind of went so fast that I really didn't have time to get nervous. Number 6, what were you doing when you went in labor, when your water broke, found out you have a C-section, etc.? Well, since it was a non-stress test, I wasn't really prepared. I was just there, and they were like, oh, we're going to induce you. Number 7, what does contraction feel like? To me, contractions feel like a really tightness, and since mine ended up in back labor, so my contractions ended up like a really sharp pain pinching up my spine. Number 8, did you deliver in hospital, birth center, or at home? I ended up having a hospital birth, but I would have loved to have a home birth. Not so keen on hospitals. 9, did you have a midwife, doctor, or unassisted? I had a doctor. He was a great doctor. I'm so glad I ended up with him. Number 10, who were my supporters? My supporters were my boyfriend. He stayed there the whole time. Well, he ended up taking his mom to go eat and stuff, but most of the time he was there. Number 11, what were you really glad you had during birth? Since I had the non-stress test, I was so glad that I was still hooked up to the monitor so I can hear Finn's heartbeat, and it kept me really calm. Number 12, pain management. I didn't have any real pain management. I did it all natural. I almost ended up getting an epidural, but since I have Harrington rods and it was like 9 centimeters when I actually he told me that by putting it in, if he missed and hit between the bars, that I could end up with headaches, and I was already at 9 centimeters. There's no way I was going to risk that. Number 13, what position did you find yourself in most? I was on my back because since I was induced, I pretty much didn't have much else to do. Whenever I laid on my side, I'd get really nauseous, and Finn's heartbeat would start to get up and down. So that's why I chose my back, even though research says that it was the worst. But all came out, so I'm happy for that. Number 14, did you experience the ring of fire? I'm not sure. I got really exhausted when pushing Finn out, and they ended up giving me an episiotomy, and he actually ended up pooping in the womb, so that was terrible. But he didn't have any health issues, so I was so happy about that. Also, number 15, what was the first thing that popped in your head when you saw your baby? Wow, did I just have a baby? He was a really big baby, like 9 pounds, 6 ounces. Man, that's a big baby. Oh, by the way, the 9 pounds, 6 ounces, 21 inches was number 6. Wait, no, number 16. What was your baby's length and height? Wait. What was your baby's length and weight? Number 17, from first true labor contractions to delivery, how long? It was 10 hours. After an hour of being at the hospital, they broke my water, so it was 10 hours from that. Number 18, which was the most challenging for you, labor, pushing, or recovery? Labor was pretty challenging. I had really strong back contractions, but they weren't as bad as like I'm gonna scream or anything. I just kept calm, listened to Finn's heartbeat, just relaxed. And during pushing and all that, I got really exhausted. It was really tiring because I didn't have any pain medication or anything, which I don't normally take pain medication, so it was nothing new. But labor as a first-time mom is something you never can imagine. It's like terrible and wonderful all at once. It's so hard to explain. I wouldn't change it for the world. And recovery, oh man, recovery, since I had an episiotomy, it was really hard to recover from. It took about 8 weeks to even sit down without a pillow. Number 19, one piece of advice you would give about birth to mom-to-be. Don't sweat making a birth plan. Like, have your guidelines, but I wrote out this long birth plan and half of it went out the window because I ended up induced. I just say worry and research about things like breastfeeding and the most important things like that, like what are you gonna do. I mainly, after knowing that I ended up induced, I just main focus was his health. Number 20, show the first picture of you as a new mom. That will be inserted in, and thank you for taking the time out to watch my awkward video, but I enjoyed doing the birth story tag. I like to talk about my experience having Finn. He's my adorable son. Oh, I should be putting up a 9-month update. He goes to the doctor on Monday, so look out for that, and subscribe if you want to see more, and we'll see how things are. Thumbs up if you like this. Thank you.